In this video, we're going to talk about how the Deluge firmware is now going to be open source. Let's read from the post from the Facebook group. Since launching our beloved Deluge, we've added a ton of functionality, made it more versatile, and packed it full of groundbreaking features. Our Ranger Looper advanced sequencing and MPE implementation are still industry leading. At Synstrom, we're devoted to sustainability and want our Deluge to continue being the center of our users' musical excursions for many years to come. Late last year, we started retrofitting older Deluge variations with the OLED screen featuring in our new units. The next step we're taking has been even longer in development, waiting until we knew we had a community full of talented coders who are as passionate about Deluge as we are. We know the time is right. It's time to take software development into overdrive. We're going open source. What is open source? Open source means we're opening our software code to the community. Our users who know how to write code can now develop their own Deluge features, make refinements to the existing code, and contribute to a community version for all users. Before the speculation even starts, this isn't us working on a new model. There are currently no plans for that. We've employed a team to manage the open source project so we can focus our energies into ramping up the building of new OLED Deluges to meet demand, speeding up the retrofitting and refurbishing off older units, and just maybe finally getting a Deluge into limited retail. Don't hold your breath on the last part. Synstrom will continue to maintain and update the main official repository, including all official Deluge firmware releases going forward. Alongside, there will also be a community repository for both OLED and non-OLED versions, forked from the official repository as a central place for community code contributions to be merged together, so long as they don't appear to break anything and represent complete features ready for use. And of course, all future updates to the official branch can be merged in too. And of course, you can fork either branch and make your own changes and share these with others irrespective of what's happening in the official or community repository. Installing community or other firmware builds is 100% compatible with your Deluge's hardware warranty. However, if you use a non-official community build, we won't be able to provide software support. Our open source project manager will initially oversee and maintain the community repository, though this will probably change in the longer term, particularly if or when open source development branches in multiple different directions. We've created thorough documentation, and Rohan will also be on hand at the launch to offer guidance and assistance to those getting involved, including making open video Q&A sessions. Rohan has always been eager to give back to the global community of makers and tinkerers that helped him as a beginner. And we just had to make sure the time was right, that we had the right people involved, and that we had a system that aided those taking part. We're also launching a Patreon to help support those contributing to the community repository. This will allow the entire community to show their gratitude to those developing, testing, and refining code by making a monthly financial contribution from just $1. Though administered by Synstrom, 100% of these payments, less Patreon fees and tax, will be distributed only amongst those coders contributing to the community repository, distributed in accordance with how much each individual contributed. We have reopened the Epic feature suggestion threads on our forums where coders can find ideas to work on and where users can discuss their desired features. In special cases, the official repository may consider submissions from the community repository where features in their UI have proven universal appeal. However, Synstrom needs to continue to provide our customers with a stable and high-performance official firmware version, so we need to be responsible for every line of code in this branch. Deluge firmware will be released under the GPL version 3 license. There are no restrictions on personal use, and this license allows for code to also be used in commercial projects. However, if even one line of code of this is used in a commercial project, the entire piece of code for that project must also be made open source under the same license. The newly open source Deluge firmware source code will live in GitHub. We will be launching this project in June, though you can follow our GitHub now and will be alerted when it's live. If a community feature is to be accepted into the official repository, this will be negotiated and licensed on a case-by-case basis with its developers. Looks like there's key dates and details. Monday, June 5th. The code base will be made available. Documentation released and Patreon launched. Wednesday, June 7th, open group video Q&A session with Rohan. This will be recorded and available on GitHub following. Saturday, June 10th, open group Zoom session with Rohan will be recorded and made available on the GitHub following. Following these Q&A sessions, Rowan and our open source team will be responsible in answering questions on the GitHub. Please try not to flood forums with questions until after these sessions, as we anticipate much will be answered therein. Open source project manager is Jamie Fenton. Now that person is who made Downrush, so this is going to be great. So that's all we have for now. Thanks for watching and tune in for more updates.